Okay, good morning everybody, and can I extend a very warm welcome to this Falkirk Council Planning Committee held here within Greensmouth Community Education Unit at Abbots Road today, Wednesday the 13th of November, beginning at 10 a.m. In accordance with Section 43 of the Local Government in Scotland Act 2003, it has been directed that this meeting will be conducted in such a manner as to allow a remote attendance by elected members. The meeting will also be live streamed. Going to the business of the agenda, first of all, could we ask if there's any apologies?
Thank you, Convener. We have apologies submitted by Councillor Colley and Councillor Kelly. Thank you.
Fine, thank you for that. That takes us to item 2 on the agenda this morning, which is declaration of interest. And just for clarity, I'll read this out. Members should declare any financial and non-financial interest they have in any item of business at the meeting, identifying the relevant agenda item and the nature of the interest. Have we any declarations of interest at this time? None intimated. Fine, thank you. That takes us to item 3, which is the minute of meeting of the Planning Committee held on the 9th of October 2024. It's pages 3 to 10 in your agenda papers. Have we any questions arising from that minute? I'm looking here, I'm looking online. None? Okay, thank you. That takes us, before we go into the details of the items on the agenda, I would say at this stage is that usually we ask requests for any sites at this stage. So I'm asking at this stage, have we any requests for sites? We'll go to item 4 first. Construction of 2 industrial units, class 5 at 103 Broad Street, Denny, for Mr. Chris Varechia. It's pages 11 to 20. And I'd be happy to move to sites for this. How does other members feel about this?
Agreed.
So are we all agreed for sites? Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. That takes us to item 5 on your agenda, which is construction of restaurant 12 holiday lodges, upgrading and extension of storage building, construction of a play area and associated access, parking path, groundworks and landscaping at Blacklock Fishery Lime Rig. It's pages 21 to 43, and we had a submission put in by Councillor Forrest initially when there was a call in for a request to site. So I'm just going back to Councillor Forrest in relation to that request.
Yes, I'd like to confirm I'd like a site visit there.
Site visit? I'm quite happy to second you. How do other members feel about that?
Agreed.
Unaccompanied?
It will be an unaccompanied site visit. Fine. Okay, then that's just to inform everybody that the 2 items on the agenda this morning, item 4, which is the construction of 2 industrial units at 103 Broad Street, Denny, for Mr. Chris Varechia. It's been approved to go to sites, unaccompanied site visit. And item 5 on your agenda this morning, construction of restaurant 12 holiday lodges, upgrading, extension of storage building, construction of a play area and associated access, parking path, groundworks and landscaping at Blacklock Fishery Lime Rig, Falkirk, pages 21 to 43 on your agenda. That's also been referred to sites and been agreed unanimously.
Convener.
Councillor Bowes.
Thank you, Convener. So 2 items that are on today's agenda are obviously now going to sites. And I know it's probably difficult, but I'm asking planning officers this. Is there anything in the procedures that we can maybe do this pre the meeting? Because it would save the people turning up, it saves the staff turning up, and this hall being booked out. It just seems when you've got something like this, when you get both items are going to go to sites, it's all time that people have used up.
When you bring you on to Mr. Henderson to give a response to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Convener, and thank you, Councillor Bowes. I think it's a good point that's being made in terms of the standing orders for the Planning Committee, the scheme of delegation. Once the Planning Committee convenes to consider an item, there are some decisions that can be taken, and one of them is whether or not it wishes to go to a site visit to view the physical characteristics of the site. So that really is a decision for the committee to take as a group decision, and not one that could be taken, unfortunately, in advance of the meeting. And I do appreciate your point that I think there are people here today that have come along in the hope of making a deputation request, which is something that would now have to be deferred until the meeting comes back before the committee. And apologies to those that have attended for that happening. I think it's of no comfort to those attending as requesting a deputation, but it's always indeed a decision for the committee to agree whether or not to hear a deputation. So there is inherently always a bit of a risk that the committee doesn't agree to hear someone that makes the effort to come to speak before the committee. But no, thanks for raising that point, Councillor Bowes. I hope that's of some assistance.
No, I do understand. Just that it just seems an awful lot of waste and an awful lot of people's times. And no disrespect to the committee and what the committee does, but we've got 2 items on here, both going to sites. We'll be finished by 10 past if I can shut up.
No, that is a very valid point, and the fact is that's how we ask at the very outset. Is there any request for sites to ensure that the time that people take to come here, that their time's not wasted too much? But the fact of the matter is, Mr. Henderson's quite right. If somebody puts a request in for a site visit initially on their own, well, you can't take a decision. It's got to come before the full committee, and it's the full committee then that take the responsibility of taking the decision on it. Did you want to speak, Councillor Bailey-Kerr? Thank you, sir.
Leading on for Councillor Bowes' question, when is the next planning committee meeting? Because I don't think we have one in December, by January. Is that correct?
Yeah. 15th of January. When's the appropriate site visit date? Have we got a date in the diary for that? 25th of November. Okay.
Probably the same as everybody else. I say it every meeting, convener. This is people's lives we're dealing with here, and whether it's you're supporting or no supporting, they want an answer, and there's just got to be a long time for these 2 applications to sit. And I don't know we can't do nothing about it, but bless you. Thanks, convener.
No. They're valid points, but we are. There's legislation and there's procedures, and we appreciate everybody's and members as well, because members have came this morning and they've only been here less than 10 minutes, as well as the representation the applicants. But it is where we are. It might be an opportunity maybe to discuss this maybe later at a more advanced level to see if there's anything. But just now, we are where we are. So, Councillor Murtagh, you want in? Yes, Councillor Murtagh, thank you.
Apologies, convener, and I think I echo what others have said as well. And I think it's important that the people who've come understand that we all regret that situation, and it's certainly not deliberate on our part. But recognising what Mr. Henderson has said in terms of the procedures, I mean, is there? I also agree with you, convener, that I think we should probably take something offline and see, is there a possibility of amending our own procedures within legislation that could facilitate something that is still democratically visible and appropriate, but that could alleviate the situation? But I also wanted to ask specifically, do we have sort of leave within the committee, given sometimes we can suspend standing orders or hear items? I often feel that perhaps it would benefit the committee before they went to site to hear the points that the people who have come from a deputation wished to make, and therefore their trip not so much wasted. And I know that there's issues about, fairness and transparency about like future then deputations, etc. But I do wonder how much leeway we've got in terms of perhaps doing that, because I do, like others, feel acutely regretful that people come all this way and then they don't get to make their deputation.
Mr Henderson respond to you with that one.
Thank you, Councillor Murtagh. And I think the decision's been taken to take the matter to site at the moment, but the items are on the agenda today. I think given that it's going to sites, there would have to be some care taken that merits of the applications weren't discussed by members. So that's one thing to be mindful of. We can obviously pull forward the requests for deputations to the planning committee that the reports will come back to, and contact will be maintained with the individuals. With that all said, the items are before the committee today, and if the committee wish to maybe hear from the planning officer and to hear the deputations, that is an available process to it. But given the decision to go to sites, I would just caution against discussion taking place on the merits of the applications and how that might flow through to questions raised of the parties making deputations, members being able to ask questions for 10 minutes, as they say, on the back of the deputation requests. So ultimately in the hands of the committee members, but there is the potential to do that, but equally the deputies may want to submit a future deputation in any event in order to speak at the point at which a determination was going to be made by the committee, which they may feel is a more potent point at which to make their deputation. Thank you, Councillor Murtagh.
Thank you. You want to come respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and I'm not expecting us a proposal here from your convener either. Like, I know this is sort of a bit on the hop, and we don't know the situation in advance. But in some ways, I think, without wishing to set precedent, which I'd make very clear, because I think that there can be different circumstances in each committee. But I do feel that perhaps, given that there's an item, given the items on the agenda, that it might be something to look at of saying, well, could we even ask the applicants, is there something which they wish to address to the committee prior to us going on site that wouldn't preclude them from doing another deputation, but it's just how I feel about the situation, which we've now encountered on a few occasions, and a way we could maybe get around things. But I just want to float that. I can leave it with yourselves, but it's just me thinking out loud on the situations we kind of are recurringly encountering at the moment. Thanks, convener.
Thank you, Councillor Murtagh. I think everybody that's here appreciates the situation, but a decision has been taken by the committee, and at this particular stage, we'll have to stand by that. So that brings us to Councillor Flynn. Sorry, sir.
Thank you, convener. The only additional point I would make, it's fine, all these different ideas and that sort of thing, and maybe hearing a future date from deputations and comments, but it's already been stated that sometimes there's quite a long gap between this meeting and perhaps the next meeting, and people will forget possibly what's been said, or there may be different things said, and I think there is a risk attached to that by changing the format. I think the format currently we've got seems to work. It's not ideal, but it seems to work okay. That's all I would like to say. Thanks.
Thank you for that, sir. Is there anybody else like to come in? We're going to close the meeting now with the decisions that have been taken for sites for the two items. Okay, then the meeting is now closed, and these two items that are on the agenda this morning will be going to sites and then coming back to a further meeting where all representations by applicants or agents will have an opportunity to speak at that particular stage. Thanking you very much for your